As a 12-year-old, I once spent 5 days wandering the creek beds of the Flinders Ranges, throwing rocks. I threw so many rocks that by the end of the week, I couldn't even lift my arm. But don't feel bad for me. I wasn't lost or abandoned. I was having the time of my life. And my father was close by. He wasn't throwing rocks, however. He was painting the landscape. That's what he does best of all. Episode 6: Landscapes and Memories. The landscape paintings of Gary Lee-Gaston have won many prestigious awards and prizes over the years. They also adorn a number of public and private collections throughout the world. The paintings have been acquired by numerous councils in South Australia. This one, titled The Barossa Gate, is part of the Lyndoch Council's collection. Gary's first forays into landscape painting came in the late 60s. Together with fellow artists Terry Lewitzka and Art Vanderbilt, Gary would venture into the South Australian outback on regular painting trips. Working mainly in oils, his talent was obvious and the pieces sold well, but it would take years of practice for him to refine his techniques. Over the years, Gary has revealed to me many of the technical aspects of a good landscape that the novice eye such as mine is not even aware of until it's pointed out. These include the importance of the foreground, middle distance and far distance. The foreground is kept relatively free from distractions and the viewer's eye is drawn in to the middle distance. There is the important placement of the primary, secondary, and subsequent points of interest within the painting. There is often the crucial placement of various live interests within the picture, some of them obvious, and some of them almost hidden. A technique that Gary learnt from observing Rembrandt's work. There is the horizon or eye level, the aspect, perspective, vanishing points, the use of colour, and economy of brushstrokes. But in the end, Gary's process is quite simple. He'll come across a scene that moves or inspires him, and he'll try to convey that narrative or capture the mood and feeling of that moment. For that reason, Gary always paints from life. To him, painting from a photo removes the feeling and inspiration. That's why he spent countless hours in paddocks, by roadsides, in valleys and on top of hills. Often he'll return to certain places of inspiration to try and capture a different perspective. This beach scene at Second Valley is a classic example. Both are very large paintings, and at first glance they appear almost exactly the same. But there's a slightly different viewpoint. The absence of horses in one, the cloud formations and the various placement of live interests, like the children and dog playing on the beach, are also different. Often, the source of inspiration for Gary is close at hand, from his local neighbourhood, to well-known places in and around Adelaide. Some more notable pieces were not done locally, but overseas, when Gary won the prestigious Thomas Laird Memorial Travelling Scholarship in 1991. This one of Calais in France is one of his particular favourites. It's a really large painting, and Gary was captivated by the almost ghost-like appearance of the cows in the paddock on this particularly misty day. While oils and acrylics have been Gary's most prolific landscape medium, his pencil and watercolour works are also quite wonderful. Some of my earliest and most vivid memories are of accompanying my father on his painting trips. One place in particular at Balhanna, called the Warlands, was our favourite. Although I must have only been about 7 at the time, it seems like yesterday. We would catch frogs and tadpoles and jump off haystacks. Once we found a tiny kitten amongst the sheds. My sister named it Hawker Squawker. As a teenager, I would often accompany my father to various properties in the Adelaide Hills. While he painted, I would explore and hunt. There was only 2 rules. Whatever I shot, I had to eat, and if I got bitten by a snake, I had to whistle. Sometimes I became the live interest in the picture. I loved the freedom and the space. They were some of the happiest times of my formative years, and it's little wonder that my siblings and I have all settled on acreage in the country. Gary said to me recently, some people write books, some people sing songs, and some people paint. We're all just telling stories that we find interesting and we want to share with others. The beauty of Gary's art is that the stories will live on long after we're all gone.